we do support Ukraine for them and for ourselves. And during the meeting today, we have reaffirmed our ambition to become the world's most integrated region by 2030. Thank you so much. And now over to you, or over to Ursula.
Over to our distinguished guest.
Yeah, thank you very much. Thank you very much, all of you, for inviting me here to the meeting of the Nordic Council. I think of the Nordic countries as the Polaris of the North, we would say the North Star of Europe, because very often you show the way. First, on readiness and preparedness. I think we can all agree no one does it like you. In the North, readiness runs through society. From the shelters in Helsinki to the Cadet Academy in Copenhagen. I've seen it for myself. Just last week in the European Council, we decided to move forward on Europe's roadmap for defence readiness by 2030. And after that, we discussed how to maintain our strong support to Ukraine. Your support will be essential, as it has been essential in reaching our goals. And of course, our experience and is fed by your experience and your knowledge on that. It goes from monitoring the Arctic in the north to deterring a rogue neighbour in the east, and all this will serve as a guide for all of Europe. My second point is on competitiveness. Our dinner with business leaders in Sweden was very informative. For me, I heard a lot of inspiring stories yesterday, because here is excellence in the room. But I was just as interested in the challenges as I was in the progress that has been shown forward. We know what hinders competitiveness in the European Union. There's a clear lack of access to capital for scale-ups. There's red tape. Permits take too long. A fragmented single market and high energy costs. We're working very hard on all these topics across all strands to simplify, to clarify, and to accelerate. Here our guiding star is the Draghi report, and together we're preparing our clean tech future. And here again, we're looking at the Nordics. Not long ago, your region depended heavily on fossil fuels. Today, 99% of Sweden's electricity is coming from renewables and nuclear. And that is a lesson to learn for all of Europe. You stayed focused, you stayed the course on the targets of climate neutrality, but you're flexible on the way how to get there. And then you succeed. You have turned the climate debate and the competitiveness debate into one, and that's the right way to go, because clean tech is where smart money goes. We want the future of clean tech to be made here in Europe, and for this we must retain our industries, our talents, and our jobs. In a world of fierce, often unfair competition, we must support more clean products made in Europe, strengthen key sectors from cars to batteries, and secure access to the critical raw materials with our new Resource EU plan. That's the goal, and we will stay firmly focused on it. Thank you very much.
Okay, thank you. Finland and Åland are co-hosting the presidency of the Nordic Council of Ministers this year. So next we will hear from the Prime Minister of Finland and then from the government, head of government of Åland. So Prime Minister Orpo, please.
Thank you so much. It is great to be here today. Thank you all for hosting us. This morning we had the second Nordic Prime Minister meeting during the presidency of Finland and Åland Islands. I believe it is the first time we had the President of the European Commission as our main guest. I want to thank you, Ursula, for being here today, and thank you also for your wise words. The war in Ukraine and Russia's reckless behaviour at the Baltic Sea region have made our region a hotspot. This has changed our work in the European Union and our work amongst the Nordics. The small countries, of this region know that we need to work together to be stronger. And this is what we have also discussed today. Our second theme today was competitiveness. For me, it is also a key theme. We, the Nordics, can be considered as forerunners in competitiveness. We created free movement for our citizens decades before the Schengen Agreement. We are leaders in innovation and in areas like clean energy and technology, but we need to do more. Also here, working together is the key.
I think this morning's meeting have had an air of determination and also hope. Anyone who follows the news can see that the Nordic countries must stand together, as well as Europe must stand together. It is expected that politicians, businesses and civil society will work together to build a stronger Nordic region and a stronger Europe. With our own clean energy, our own supply chains and our own defence, but also with sustainability, equality, competitiveness and education for all.
Thank you. And then we will proceed in the order of time in office, and I'll give the floor to the Prime Minister of Denmark, please.
Thank you, and first of all, thank you, Ulf, for hosting us today. Right now we face the greatest threat since World War II. Russia is trying to weaken our societies and to divide us. But they shall know that they will never succeed. So first of all, we have to continue our strong support to Ukraine. They are the first line of defense for the entire Europe Union and our continent. Secondly, we have to rearm ourselves. I'm very pleased that we now have an ambitious roadmap. We have to be able to defend ourselves by 2030 at the latest, and I think all of us in the Nordic region want to work even closer together on defence readiness. We also have to work closer on economy, competitiveness, and as you said, Ursula, green innovation, and that is exactly what we are doing now through simplification and through our strong efforts to setting an ambitious 2040 climate target for the European Union. At the same time, I think as Nordics, we have to hold on to what is most important, to the most important values that we have in the Nordics, our trust in each other, in our societies, our welfare systems, that we take care of those who need a strong welfare society, the freedom to walk in our streets, to be who you are and to say what you want. For us, democracy is a question of human dignity. It was a former Swedish Prime Minister who said that 50 years ago, and I couldn't agree more. So let's keep this in mind as we continue to strengthen the ties between us.
Thank you so much. And next, Prime Minister of Norway, please.
Thank you so much, and thank you, Ursula, for being here. I think I went directly to a Nordic meeting after I was elected Prime Minister in 2021. And now, having been re-elected and thinking back of those 4 years, how much the Nordics and the Europeans are integrated and how many of the challenges we have to face together, it really strikes me at this juncture. So on competitiveness for Norway, obviously, it is the EEA agreement, which makes us an integral part of the internal market. And by that, we are participating in a lot of the very critical issues we are now doing on defence integration, military integration from our industries, programs to develop the necessities to take care of our security. That is absolutely key, new common initiatives. And on security, I mean, a few months after I came to office, we had the full-scale invasion, and Ukraine has served as a awakening call to what is the security landscape in Europe. It is a strength for all of us that we can approach this as a common Nordic family and a common European family. So supporting Ukraine, doing it in the smart way, I think we, the Nordic countries, probably have the most experience in that, because we are doing known things, and we are also innovating in the way we do our support to Ukraine, and I know that that is also being reflected in the broader European approach. Final remark, we've also had among the Nordic Prime Ministers today a brief discussion on the need to coordinate our work against organised crime, against gangs, against drug trafficking that is really feeding organised crime in modern Europe. I'm very happy to see that among the Nordic countries we have police intelligence working closely together. That is important, and we have to deepen that. And also, you know, a theme of protecting our youth. We discussed at the meeting with the President. Some of us are now putting proposals out for an age limit to access social media, which is also an important part of looking after what I would say daily life security of our youth, improving their school results, improving their mental health. There's no way around addressing this issue, and by doing it together in this family, we also stand stronger. Thank you.
Thank you, and then Prime Minister of Faroe Islands, please.
Thank you, and thank you, Ulf, for hosting us in Stockholm. I am also very pleased that EU Commission President von der Leyen is here today. The EU and the Nordics are not just close neighbours, but close partners united by democracy, the rule of law and human rights. In these uncertain times, it is more important than ever to meet with like-minded partners. Let me briefly highlight two key points from today's meeting. First, we discussed strengthening our security, and Europe must do more, and NATO remains the backbone of our security. The Faroe Islands are committed to supporting regional stability and transatlantic security. We actively contribute to allied initiatives and providing port and airport access and participating in joint NATO exercises. Second, we focused on competitiveness. Europe and Nordics are known for high standards and fair competition, but we must find the right balance. Deregulation and simplification is important, so we don't fall behind global players like India and China. Thank you.
Thank you. And then last but not least, Prime Minister of Iceland, please.
Thank you. I guess being the last, I can echo what a lot of people have been saying here. I think it's been exceptional to have a leader like Ursula at the European Union at this time. It's a tricky leadership to have, to speak positively about sometimes a negative development. But obviously Iceland isn't part of the EU, but like Norway is a part of the EEA. This is our biggest trading partner. And so we value any relationship that deepens that market. I also want to comment just shortly on security concerns, because obviously Iceland has been very active in the support to Ukraine. I mean, we are a small nation, so in absolute matters, it will never be great. But in terms of signaling, it's important that we understand the threats that are transpiring. But our message has also been to this group, both the Nordics, but also at the EU level and at the NATO level, that people need to be looking north as well. They need to be looking up. If we see threats from Russia, we should also be looking at those threats from the north. And I was very recently just in Greenland, and we were having these similar discussions, and the Prime Minister of Denmark and I have also discussed this, that we can't be naive in that region either. And we've seen very quick developments when it comes to sort of security culture in Iceland as of recently, that we're aware of strengthening our presence in that area. But it needs to be on our terms. Iceland doesn't have a military, but we've been an active part of NATO. So we're strengthening our host nation capabilities. And we're also always emphasizing, even though we have a very strong Nordic cooperation and a strong EEA cooperation, that I mean, the connection with the U.S. is always going to be a strong backbone to everything that we do. I just want to say towards the end, when it comes to this Nordic relationship, we share values that are under threat right now. We have been a guiding light when it comes to democracy, when it comes to human rights. And I just want to echo what Prime Minister Frederiksen said when it comes to trust. We're worried about security concerns. We need the backup of our public. They need to believe in us. They need to believe in our institutions. So we're also worried about misinformation, about social media, how we talk to each other. So this is a big political engagement topic that we need to take forward. And I'm looking forward to further collaboration. Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much. And now we have time for a few questions. Kindly wait for the microphone and mention your name before asking the questions. And we start with Sveriges Radio.
There it is. Right, so my first question is to welcome everyone to Stockholm, first of all. I'm Felicia Hassan, the Baltic Sea correspondent for Swedish radio. And my first question will be to Jonas, Gahr, Støre and Petteri Orpo. You both have borders with Russia in the north. How serious do you consider the threat from Russia in the Arctic region right now? I'm, of course, thinking about the recent testing of the new missile. And then to Denmark, Mette Frederiksen, any updates on the drone incidents that happened there last month? Where they came from? Do you still consider the incidents hybrid attacks?
Well, if I can begin, it is a long tradition that Norway follows very closely testing of Russian military technology in the north. We live 100 kilometers from the world's largest nuclear arsenal. And I think one strength of NATO is that we are ears and eyes to follow that. This is not weapons directed primarily against us, but it is a strategic weapon for Russia. And I think it is a worrying sign that so much emphasis is being put into these developments. And what we learned over the last days, I think, is not a complete story about this potential missile, because that has had a very mixed story in its testing. Again, I think I will use, if Petteri will allow, a Finnish expression that Petteri has shared with me, that we are not afraid, but we are prepared. Yes. We know what it is to be a neighbor with the Soviet Union and with Russia, and we are strengthened by having our own defense, which is now scaling up its capacity, but even more so by having Sweden and Finland as partners in NATO, so that we have interoperability in the way we plan also for defense in the north. So there are three dimensions to this from Norway's side. It is our own defense, it's our regional partners in the north, and then of course the NATO partnership with the US and other allies. So if we do our work correctly, we are a threat to no other country, but no other country should have the idea of threatening us. And that makes us pretty confident that we will be able to take care of our own security in that way.
Yes, just like Jonas said, we are not afraid, we are prepared. We have always been prepared in Finland. We have our long history with Russia, and that's why when Russia attacked against Ukraine, we decided to join NATO together with Sweden. Today we work inside NATO to strengthen our defense and our security. We work in the European Union, and we Nordics, we work together. I have to say that I'm very happy that when we have wrote our roadmap how to strengthen European defense, that Russia is threat number one. And it's crucial because it will be. When the war ends in Ukraine, it's clear that Russia will move their forces, military forces, to their western borders, behind our borders. And that's why we have to do even more to strengthen our defense and security inside NATO with our allies, but also together with the European Union. It's a real threat for us.
So we have seen now many examples of hybrid attacks into Europe with the migrants in Finland and Lithuania, with sabotage, with cyber attacks, with drones, including in Denmark, with disinformation and Russia trying to destabilize democratic elections, for example. I think it is, if I can put it that way, it's a mistake to try to find a way to conclude on all the different kind of specific operations or attacks, because it's a part of the nature of a hybrid war that the enemy will not tell you who the enemy is, and they will try to attack us in a way so it's almost impossible to put a conclusion on paper. So therefore, I think we have to focus on the pattern in Europe to see all the different kind of events. And then, of course, our authorities, and it goes for all European countries, are looking into the specific events or accidents that are happening. But I think all of us have to remember that this is a part of the hybrid war, that it's extremely difficult to make a conclusion.
Thank you. And the second question goes to the Finnish News Agency.
Thank you. Anni Keski-Heikkilä. My question is mainly for von der Leyen. Last week, the plan to use frozen assets didn't move forward as quickly as planned. There's now been talks that, as another option, the Commission will propose a joint debt solution for helping Ukraine. So will this be an option? And Prime Ministers Orpo, Kristersson and Frederiksen, how does this sound to you?
So the question is, what are we doing? Why are we doing this? We look at the financing needs of Ukraine for the years 26 and 27, and I'm very glad and grateful that the European Council has committed to cover the financing needs of Ukraine for the years 26-27, be it the military needs or, if necessary, budgetary needs. And therefore, I think it is an important step forward that we look at the immobilized Russian assets, because what are we doing? We're looking at the cash balances. The proposal is to take these cash balances to give a loan to Ukraine that Ukraine has to pay back if Russia pays reparations. And therefore, it's legally a sound proposal, not trivial, but a sound proposal. Now the European Council asked for potential options to technical questions that we have there, so we will come with that. But the basic message is very clear towards Russia. We're in for the long haul. We are ready to cover the financing needs of Ukraine so that we are standing by Ukraine for as long as it takes.
Well, I very much agree, and obviously we didn't reach a conclusion last European Council, but we did take a major step, a necessary step, to be able to make that decision. And in this group, you can really count on that. We are very decisive on our will to make that decision on the European Council in December.
Let me support what has already been said. I strongly support the idea of a reparation loan. I think, to be honest, it's the only way forward. And I really like the idea that Russia pays for the damages they have done and committed in Ukraine. For me, there is no alternative to the reparation loan. Of course, we need to find a solution to some of the technical questions that has been asked and details. But first of all, this is a political choice. And when we look at Ukraine as a first line of defense, for me, this is not a question about giving money to Ukraine or to give donations to Ukraine. This is a way of defending Europe. And therefore, we need the next step. And we have talked about it this morning. I think what is necessary is to have a conclusion at our meeting in December. So we will be able to move forward from that on.
Thank you. I strongly agree with the others, and because we have to continue to support Ukraine. We have to find a solution how we can finance their fight. And that's why, and I see that only reasonable solution is to use Russian frozen assets. And that's why Finland gives whole support, strong support to Commission and Ursula von der Leyen's work to find a solution with Belgium. And I'm optimistic. It is possible, and I hope that, we need to do solution in December Council meeting.
Thank you. And then we move to Norway. NRK, please.
Yes, good, still morning. First of all, I would actually like to address something you didn't, because I would like to congratulate the Faroe Islands with 2 Nordic Council prizes this year. The first one, I believe, in film ever, and the first in literature in, I think, 39 years, if I'm not mistaken. So congratulations on that. The question, however, is of a little bit more serious character. I would like to address it first to Madam President von der Leyen, and Norway and Iceland. Feel free to add on if there is anything. In the Readiness 2030 plan, there is a will to have a more stable and a more strengthened defence cooperation within the European Union. As you, of course, are aware of, 2 of these countries are not part of the European Union. And does that make, or do you see any challenges with that, or how long are you willing to let these countries participate in such a cooperation? And is that a problem or a challenge that they are not part of the European Union? Thank you very much.
It is a vital asset to our security in the European Union to have Norway and Iceland by our side. Because if we think about European security, we have to think about continental scale. And therefore, I know by experience that Iceland and Norway have to bring a lot to the table. Of course, both Nordic countries, Norway and Iceland, are also members of NATO, and we are working very closely with NATO. Just an example, NATO set the investment goals of 5%. But of course it needed the enabling factors in the European Union, like the National Escape Clause and the Safe Funding Programme, to make this then happen. And both countries have joined SAFE, the Joint Procurement Programme. We have a security and defence partnership signed with Norway. We are in good talks with Iceland. So with all these elements, you hear how important, how vital Norway and Iceland are for our security in the European Union.
Well, I'd just like to second what the President has said. I think that President von der Leyen has been very attentive to Norway as a partner. So through the EEA agreement, we have a legal framework that gives the opportunity to also engage in new programs. So on these procurement programs, Norway can contribute, and we can compete for projects which are put out there. And I think this very much follows from our first issue of security, because this is how Europe can deliver on security, that we can much more work in an integrated way on our defence capabilities. And I see that has been very smooth in our relationship with the European Union. And of course, they are, broadly speaking, our NATO allies and partners. So this has been smooth, and it will continue to go that way, I think.
I don't really have much to add to both what Ursula and Jonas said. I mean, I think at every level Europe is reaching out. It's reaching out to like-minded countries. Iceland and Norway have always been a part of the European family, even though we're not fully integrated into the EU. It's been a very, very valuable partnership for us, and I don't see that changing. But we are aware of our strategic position. I mean, our value add when it comes to, for example, NATO has always been where we're situated geographically. And I would be of the understanding that the EU is aware of that as well. But we also have to do our part. We have to invest in our infrastructure. We have to show that we are a good partner as well. And we've only seen positive engagement when it comes to security operations. We've discussed, for example, access to funding when it comes to data cables or security of critical infrastructure. And this is something that the whole of the region shares, especially, I mean, the Nordic region. So I have nothing but positives to say about the security element here.
Thank you. And then we give the last question to the Lithuanian TV.
Thank you so much for the opportunity. I have a question for Madam President von der Leyen. In recent days, we see the increased number of contraband air balloons that from Belarus are flying to Lithuania and heavily disrupting air traffic. I would like to ask you to comment on that and ask, are there any concrete steps European Union could take to support Lithuania in addressing this issue? Thank you.
Yes, thank you very much. First of all, I would like to express my full solidarity with Lithuania in the face of these persistent incursions of the airspace. And this is a provocation. This is a hybrid threat, exactly like you just described, Mette, which we cannot tolerate. And this is one more very good argument for the readiness roadmap and the flagships in it, the Eastern Flank Watch and the drone initiative, the drone defense initiative we're taking together. Because independent what it is, we will not tolerate any incursion in our airspace or our territory, and therefore building up this readiness roadmap is of vital interest.
Thank you very much. I think it's time to close this press conference. I kindly ask journalists to please seated just for a few more minutes. Thank you everyone and have a very nice day.
Thank you.